Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Temple Buddhist Center's Sunday morning meditation service. My name is Victor, and I am honored to be of service today. We hope that our service today finds each and every one of you happy and healthy, but please know that if you are struggling in any way, our hope is that Temple Buddhist Center, this Sangha, our teachers, and the teachings can be a source of support for you. As we open our hearts to you and your loved ones. I want everybody to know that's physically here present, you automatically get double bonus points towards nirvana today for navigating the construction and the parking issues. I tried to send out a newsletter yesterday with a little warning to try to get everybody to know. So if this was a surprise to you this morning, again, dreadfully sorry. This is supposed to last for about 3 weeks, and then they'll have it all fixed up and ready to go. So let's begin our morning as if you haven't already taken a number of deep breaths as you drive around trying to figure out how to get into Temple Buddhist Center. Let's take some conscious breath this morning, breathing together. A conscious breath is where we seal the mouth, breathe deeply through the nose, hold that breath for a few moments, and then release slowly so that the exhale is longer than the inhale. Let's begin. Holding for a moment, feeling the fullness of the lungs, and releasing slowly. Nice, long, slow, metered release. And as you release, just checking in with the body once more, remembering to release the forehead and the eyebrows. The jaw rests gently, the shoulders drop, and the belly softens. And a second conscious breath together. Holding for a moment and releasing slowly. And as you release, giving yourself full and complete permission to unplug from that energy of going and doing and striving and efforting, as together in sacred Sangha, both near and far, we cultivate together the energy of simply being. And a third conscious breath. And as you release, allowing into your awareness the present moment. There is only this. This is all there is. And so here at Temple Buddhist Center, we like to begin our services with a little bit of chanting. Chanting is an integral part of every tradition. Chanting is not about being a singer. It's about a deeply devotional expression of what is sacred within you and sharing that with the entire universe. Our chant this morning is Namo Amitabha Hamsa Hamsa. Namo Amitabha Hamsa Hamsa. And this chant in the Sanskrit tradition honors the Buddha of limitless light, that boundless, expressive, endless light that emanates from within and shines in all directions. And Hamsa in Sanskrit means I am that. I am that. And so let's take a moment to, again, just take a conscious breath and relax. Some folks like to place their hand on their heart or form the Anjali Mudra. Breathing in, let's begin. Namo Amitabha Hamsa Hamsa. Namo Amitabha Hamsa Hamsa, Hamsa. Namo Amitabha, 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 Hamsa, Hamsa. With a smile. Namo Amitabha, Hamsa, Hamsa. Namo Amitabha, Hamsa, Hamsa. Once more. Namo Amitabha, Hamsa, Hamsa. Here at TBC, we practice Western Buddhism. Western Buddhism is a blend of Eastern philosophy and Western psychology. And this new and exciting form of spirituality is dynamic, it's inclusive, it's active, and it focuses on core Buddhist insights as well as mindfulness, meditation, and their practical applications in our daily lives. Our goal here is not to get everyone to agree on a specific lineage or philosophy or sect of Buddhism, but rather it is on a shared experience of mindfulness, oneness, and love. Whether we are chanting together, whether we are sharing from the heart, or spending time in noble silence, we respect that you will participate at a level that is comfortable for you. And just a quick reminder, we do have cushions up front for those who may want to sit Zazen style. At the altar at the back of the meditation hall, there are listening devices, tissues, and throat lozengers. If there are any children in the 9 o'clock session, we have a delightful set of coloring forms and lots of pens and pencils by the door, by the front of the meditation hall. So you are welcome to engage in creating a little mandala or something like that if you would like. Here at Temple Buddhist Center, we actually take refuge in the three jewels and acknowledge these core values as expressions of the awakened mind, the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha. We value awareness of our own Buddha nature as well as the Buddha nature of all beings, bringing a fresh and a new perspective to each and every encounter. The second jewel is the Dharma, the truth teachings that release us from fear and illusion and help us to realize the true nature of who we are. And last but not least is the Sangha, our spiritual community, an essential part of growth where we come together to help each other along every step of the path. And so at this time, let's silence any cell phones or electronic devices, anything that might disturb a time in meditation and contemplation as we prepare now for the prayer of refuge. We will recite this 3 times for the 3 jewels that I just talked about. So the recitation is right up here. Together. In Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha, we go for refuge until fully awakened through the power of generosity, ethics, patience, enthusiastic effort, concentration, and wisdom. For the sake of all beings, may we realize and demonstrate our innate goodness. In Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha, we go for refuge until fully awakened. Through the power of generosity, ethics, patience, enthusiastic effort, concentration, and wisdom, for the sake of all beings, may we realize and demonstrate our innate goodness. In Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha, we go for refuge until fully awakened. Through the power of generosity, ethics, patience, enthusiastic effort, concentration, and wisdom, for the sake of all beings, may we realize and demonstrate our innate goodness. And so, as we prepare now for a time in meditation, if you have an extensive practice, then we invite you to practice in a way that is fitting for you this morning. If, however, you are newer to meditation, then we will begin with a dedication of intention. We will awaken the bell 3 times for the 3 jewels, and then our teacher today, Mr. Robert Brumet, will lead us in a guided meditation that's designed to assist you in moving into the stillness. We will spend approximately 10 to 12 minutes in meditation today, in noble silence, connecting with our Sangha both near and far, in consciousness. Afterwards, Robert will lovingly and gently bring us out of meditation. We will sound the return bell, and then it will be time for today's Dharma talk, or teaching. And so with that, let's take a conscious breath together. Body, speech, and mind, in perfect oneness, I send my heart along with the sound of the bell. May the hearers awaken from forgetfulness, transcend the path of anxiety and sorrow, and realize the true nature of who they are.
As we listen to the sound of the bell fading into the silence, we follow it with our awareness into the deep silence. And so we sit as the Buddha sat 2,500 years ago. We sit in that immovable spot, that place where we dedicate and commit our life, our practice, and this meditation to the awakening of all beings everywhere. We sit with awareness primarily on the breath, following each in-breath and each out breath. Being aware of the space between the in and out, out and in. Following the breath all the way through. This is what keeps the body alive, this breath. So we honor the breath simply by paying attention to it, being grateful for the life that we have been given. Even if it's a difficult life, we can be grateful for the opportunity to learn, to grow, to realize our own Buddha nature. Breath by breath. We pay attention. We live in the moment. And we notice when the attention is pulled away from the breath. When this occurs, simply be aware of where the attention is, perhaps lost in thought of some sort, a story, planning, some concern. When we come back to the breath, all of this disappears. Into the nothingness that it is. Breath by breath. Awareness of each thought. Awareness of each breath. Awareness of the body sitting. Paying attention. Noticing. Being fully present. At this time, I invite you to become aware of your body sitting in the chair. Sitting on the cushion or the bench. Sensing the body. Taking a moment to focus on hearing. Sensing the body. Focusing on hearing. Using the breath to center. In a moment, you will hear the sound of the bell. And when you do, I invite you to open your eyes very slowly and include seeing in your practice. So with your eyes open, you then practice with all of the senses, sensing the body, being aware of thinking, being aware of hearing, seeing, fully present, fully awake. Now here's the bell. Thank you, Victor. Good morning to you all. And happy road fixing day. I have lived in a number of cities, and I don't know of any that does more road repair than Kansas City. In the Tibetan Buddhist tradition, there's a practice referred to as practicing with slogans, or the Tibetan word is lojangs. And the way this works is that you take a particular phrase or sentence, and that's the lens through which you see and live your life for a period of time. You know, for example, one of them is just imagine that everybody on this planet were enlightened except for one person. I'll give you one guess as to who that one person is that's not enlightened. And so we see each person as our teacher. Each person we see is here to awaken us, to teach us. So we don't question whether or not that's true. We just take it as being true. We live our life accordingly, you see. So the slogan that I've chosen to present to you today, to talk about, is "Death is my advisor." Death is my advisor. And I borrowed this phrase not from Buddhism, but from Carlos Castaneda. For those of you that may be familiar with Carlos Castaneda's work, it was popular in the 60s and 70s, 80s, still is to a degree. Carlos Castaneda was a graduate student, and he went to Mexico to study psychedelic plants and to create his dissertation on that subject, on that topic. And along the way, he encountered a Mexican shaman who became his teacher. and his guide. And the teacher's name was Don Juan Matus. And so Don Juan teaches Carlos, and that really comprises most of the book, is the teachings of Don Juan through the writing of Carlos. So I begin this quote with Don Juan speaking to Carlos. Death is our eternal companion. It is always at our left, at an arm's length. It has always been watching you. It always will until the day it taps you. These words penetrated deep into Carlos' body, giving him a feeling of nausea. Don Juan continued, the thing to do when you're impatient is to turn to your left and receive this advice from your death. An immense amount of pettiness is dropped if you catch a glimpse of it, or if you just have the feeling that your companion is there watching you. Carlos is plunged into a deep feeling of terror. Don Juan continues, death is the only wise advisor we have. Whenever you feel that everything is going wrong and you're about to be annihilated, turn to your death. Turn to your death and ask if this is so. Your death will tell you that you're wrong, that nothing really matters outside of its touch. That's the end of the quote. That is from the Journey to Ixtlan, for those of you that are groupies of Carlos Castaneda, which I am. In 1998, I joined about 30 friends in an experimental project. In this project, we each pretended that we only had 1 year to live. So we got together, and the first meeting, we set our death date. The death date was exactly 1 year from today, the day we started. And we would meet monthly, and each month we had a different topic that we would talk about, such as, what do you fear most about dying? Who will you miss the most? What will you miss the most? What will feel unfinished? What would feel unfinished if you were to die today? What legacy do you want to leave humanity before you die? These types of things. Each month we would talk about. And it became very intimate, very powerful process. I found that rather than being morbid and gloomy, I was happier than I had been ever before. Every moment sunset that I see. Just a few days ago, I returned from a trip on the West Coast with some family members. As I watched the sunset on the Pacific Ocean, I said to myself, this may be the very last time I see the Pacific Ocean. And in doing that, it brings a value and a preciousness and a potency to each moment that we live. At the time of the Buddha would talk about the Satipatthana Sutta, which basically lays the groundwork for mindfulness practice, which is really the foundation of what we do here in our teachings. And in this practice, one of the awarenesses is to be aware of the body will die someday. And to become fully aware of that without dwelling on it, but simply accepting it, accepting that death is part of life. So the work that would be done is, for sometimes the yogis would go to what they call the charnel grounds. The cemetery is what it was. Only at that time, and still today, I guess, in Southeast Asia, the Buddhist practice is that the bodies are not buried or they're not cremated, but they're given to the earth. They're simply laid on the earth, there for animals to consume them, or for them to decompose and return to the earth. Ashes to ashes, dust to dust, as it's often said. And so they would look at this and realize that every corpse they were looking at was one time inhabited by an individual like themselves. And someday their body may be the object of meditation. So it's a breaking through of the denial of death that we have so much in our culture. And it's a recognition that accepting death is really the best way to fully come into our own life, to appreciate our own life. We cannot really appreciate the life we've been given if we haven't come to terms with the experience of dying and of recognizing that we are mortal. The contemplation of death is a wisdom practice. Wisdom is about seeing things as they are. That's really what this practice is about. Seeing things as they really are. Knowing the truth. Not the truth in a doctrine, not the truth in some mental description, but really experiencing the truth fully, totally, beyond words and even beyond concepts. The practice is called Varanasati, and here's an outline of some of the things that's done in the practice of Varanasati. It's focusing, number one, on the inevitability of death, the certainty of death. Everyone will die. And every moment our lifespan is decreasing. Every breath we take takes us closer to our death. We focus on the uncertainty of the time of death. No one knows when or how he or she will die. And recognizing that the human body is very fragile. It takes relatively little to make this body uninhabitable to the soul. And the third thing that's focused on is the fact that only insight into the Dharma can help us at the time of our death. That we can't take anything with us. Our friends, our family cannot help us. Even modern medicine cannot help us. It can perhaps delay the time of death, but it cannot overcome the fact that we all will die. Confronting the fear of death as I found, is a life-enhancing process in practice. It's not morbid, it's not depressing. It will bring you alive. And I want to close with this quote from the book, Setting Your Heart on Fire, by Raphael Kushner. Setting Your Heart on Fire. He says, embracing your mortality makes every moment extraordinary. It quickens your entire being. It opens you more than almost anything else can. The more you bow to death, it turns out the more you come to life. That's a great paradox. And so we close this teaching by dedicating the teaching and our practice to the welfare of all beings everywhere. May it be so.
Thank you so much, Robert. So let's take a moment now to simply embody the teachings, allowing them to move from the head to the heart, and just feeling the truth of the teachings, the resonance. And as we shift now from the Dharma talk, or the teaching, into our heart practice today is metta, or loving kindness practice. It's not uncommon for folks to shift their posture or take another conscious breath or adjust or even stretch, whatever you need to do as we go from the teaching into this heart practice. And the heart practice is not an intellectual activity, it is a heart opening. And so in honor of that, some people like to create an outward gesture, such as placing one hand on their heart, or perhaps the Anjali mudra, or if you're still in just a basic sitting meditation posture, and if your hands are on your laps, we invite you to flip them upside down in sort of an outward radiating expression of the heart itself. And so we begin by taking a conscious breath. And releasing slowly. And as you do so, I invite you now to bring to mind an image, a full body image of you, of the form that has been given your name and that has accrued the many experiences over the years. And holding this image in your mind's eye, let us recite silently to ourselves these words of loving kindness practice. May I be filled with loving kindness. May I be safe from inner and outer dangers. May I be well in body and mind. And may I be at ease and happy. Conscious breath. And as you release that sentiment into the universe, I invite you now to bring to mind the image of a friend of yours. Holding this image of your friend in your mind's eye, let us open our hearts as we send metta. May you be filled with loving kindness. May you be safe from inner and outer dangers. May you be well in body and mind. And may you be at ease and happy. Conscious breath. And as you release that sentiment into the universe, I invite you now to bring to mind the image of an acquaintance, someone that you have met recently, perhaps someone new at work or at class or here in the Sangha, a clerk or a cashier from the week. And holding this image in your mind's eye, let us open our hearts as we send metta. May you be filled with loving kindness. May you be safe from inner and outer dangers. May you be well in body and mind. And may you be at ease and happy. Conscious breath. And as you release that sentiment into the universe, I invite you now to bring to mind the image of a difficult person in your life, a challenging person, perhaps a boss or a co-worker, a neighbor or a political figure. And holding this image in your mind's eye, let us open our hearts as we send metta. May you be filled with loving kindness. May you be safe from inner and outer dangers. May you be well in body and mind. And may you be at ease and happy. Conscious breath. And as you release that sentiment into the universe, I invite you now to bring to mind the image of the world, all the plants and the flowers and the trees, all the animals of the land and the sea and the sky, and all sentient beings, including ourselves, holding this image in our mind's eye. Let us open our hearts as we send metta to us all. May we be filled with loving kindness. May we be safe from inner and outer dangers. May we be well in body and mind. And may we be at ease and happy. Conscious breath. And so, in the true spirit of dana, the Buddhist practice of generosity, temple services here are given freely in the same way. If you choose to give, please give with a generous heart, which means not in return for anything that you have received today, but rather so that those who may be seeking refuge will find it here in this temple with these teachers, with this Sangha, with these teachings. And the Dana boxers are located at the back of the meditation hall. And we take a moment of gratitude for all of our ambassadors, those folks who have committed to regular monthly electronic giving. It's not about the amount, it's just that the regular monthly giving helps us to set a budget. If you'd like to become an ambassador, you can stop by our website, templebuddhistcenter.com, or you can also just scan the QR code on the cards in the backs of the seats, or on the seats in front of you there. Also, tremendous gratitude for all of our wonderful volunteers, gratitude for our PJ Sangha, everybody joining us from all around the world at home in their PJs. Gratitude for all those folks and volunteers who help us each and every day to find new ways to help Sangha connect or to deepen our practice or to be able to understand more deeply the Dharma itself. Thank you so much to Christine for your beautiful music. And thank you so much, Mr. Robert Brumet, for your wonderful teachings, your friendship. And I can't wait to hear about your stories from the West Coast. That might be a Dharma talk all to itself, huh? And thank you so much to each and every one of you for sharing your hearts and your presence and your practice with us here at Temple Buddhist Center. We certainly are the better for it. And so as we prepare now for our bodhicitta dedication, and all of our folks up in the heavenly abodes, we will do our bodhicitta dedication. We will sound the closing bell, and then it will be time for a few announcements. And there's a lot of stuff coming up for the fall, so I hope you can stay with us for one more minute. Until then, our bodhicitta dedication together. May the pure, brilliant sun of bodhicitta dawn in each and every heart and mind, dispelling the darkness of suffering and confusion unstoppably, until all are illumined and awakened. And with the palms of our hands together in front of our hearts, as we go forth now from this place, may we enter each moment in innocence, guided by the wisdom of our hearts. And as we open our hands, open our eyes, shine our light into the world. Namaste. All right, thank you so much, everyone. Don't forget, we have delicious tea, coffee, and cookies. They're crumble cookies. They're not just any cookies. Downstairs in the fellowship hall. And so what a lot of folks like to do is grab a cookie or a coffee and then come back up for our post-service discussion group. Our post-service discussion group meets online as well as right down the hall to the left of the meditation hall doors in the Heritage Room. So I hope you can join us from that. Also, I have the itinerary now for our monks' visit. As some of you may or may not know, this is their first North American tour in over 5 years, the Drepung Gomong monks, who come from the Gulag sect of Buddhism, which is also the same sect as the Dalai Lama. And so they are going to be beginning their North American tour here on August 15th is the opening ceremony, and they will be in here every day until Sunday, our Sunday service, and then they will go on to another city. And they're going to build a flower mandala. They'll be doing chanting. We're going to feature a fire puja on Friday evening. So lots of stuff. That handout is on the counter out front. Also, our Basics of Buddhism class has now been posted, and registration is open. As soon as it registered, we already had 5 or 6 people enroll. There are 11 spots left. Kyle likes to keep it at right around 15, 17 so that people have a chance to share. Once it gets too big, it becomes difficult for folks to ask questions and share. So please stop by and get registered for our Basics of Buddhism class. We do it twice a year, spring and fall. Also, coming around on the first Sunday is going to be Interplay. We had a wonderful turnout to our third Sundays, which was the Authentic Relating. Thank you so much to Tim and Brian for bringing that program to our community. So lots of wonderful things going on here at TBC, especially on Sundays right around 1 o'clock. And I had to show you this. Monday evening, we did our new moon celebration right down the street here at Westwood Park, and it was a beautiful evening. We did dances of universal peace, which is what you see there. We did a flower mandala, and we did chanting, but we were joined by what is now come to be known as the Dharma of duck dancing. So we were joined by Kristen and a wagon full of ducks that wandered around, and they sat in people's laps, and we got to feed them and play with them, and they danced with us. So it was very interesting. So if you were not able to join us for that, don't worry. We've got a wonderful full moon celebration coming up right here in September, and I'll have all the details for that very soon. Don't forget to sign up for our newsletter and our volunteer opportunities. And then also our store. Liz is doing a great job with our store, always putting new things up there. So stop by our store and see if there's some little item that you would like to have in your TBC library. And then I will leave this up here. Of course, this highlights all the ongoing things. We have Recovery Dharma on Thursdays at 7. We have Buddhism and 12-step recovery every Sunday at 12:30. Don't forget our lending library is in full swing and is anxious to share with you some Dharma. And I will let you guys know, just so you know how our community actually touches the greater Kansas City community. I had a lady contact me from a incarceration unit up in St. Joseph, and she said that a number of the inmates there were interested in knowing more and reading about Buddhism, but they don't have anything in their library. And so we've boxed up a big old box of books on Buddhism and on a bunch of the magazines and a whole bunch of stuff, and we sent that off to St. Joe. So we get calls and emails like that all the time. Kristen is heading up our volunteer program, and we're looking for some folks to help us, to lead us in a couple different things. Buddhas and Bikes is trying to get started, but we need somebody to kind of take that on. And even we're getting a lot of letters from prisons all around the greater Kansas City area, Leavenworth, St. Joe, folks who are interested in knowing more about meditation and mindfulness. So we're looking for some folks to be able to correspond and respond to these folks. So lots of opportunities, and we're going to have a lot more information about our new volunteer software coming up very soon. Until then, everyone, thank you so much for being a part of such a vibrant and a thriving community that I know touches the heart of Kansas City. As you go into your day, I wish you peace, blessings, and traffic cones.
You bet. Good. Good to see you, Doug.
Thank you.